now I'd like to invite Donna Carr and Mr. Simon Morton to present their point of views about the movement.
Mia, could you help me with this?
Oh yeah.
Thanks so much. My name's Simon Morton. I'm here with Donna, but I'm going to hold the limelight if that's all right. And I'm also from Penine Care as well, but I'm not a dementia specialist. In fact, I'm a drug and alcohol addiction specialist. But I'm here with another hat on, which is I was a race equality lead in Tameside and Glossop for Penine Care. And I'd like to just spend a few moments talking about a particular project that I've become involved with, and I'm very grateful to have become involved with it. It's been fascinating. And the project is called Making Connections, Not Assumptions, and it's about improving the care pathways, the care for older South Asian women with mental health problems, including dementia. It's a project that's been going for a couple of years, and it's being steered by a consultant clinical psychologist called Polly Kaiser, who works in Oldham. And there's a steering group that have come together over the last couple of years. I've actually only become involved in this project in the last few months, actually. But Donna's on the steering group, colleagues in Older People's Services are on the steering group. We're trying to draw people in to it, and we've drawn people in from the local authority, PCT even, so it's growing, which is great. The background for what we're doing is that there are very high levels, there are very high levels of distress in the older South Asian, with older South Asian women and BME groups on the whole. High rates of suicide. There's also a framework, a policy framework within the NHS for trying to improve service delivery, essentially, not just for patients with dementia, but patients with dementia who come from BME communities. So there's a very high level drive that accepts that services have not been good enough and need to improve. And there's a very, I say, high level top-down drive to improve things. So the aim and the focus of this particular project is to encourage older South Asian women in Oldham and Tameside and Glossop, because it straddles those two particular localities. Penine Care, that we're part of, actually covers 5 localities from Bury through to Rochdale, Oldham, Tameside and Glossop, and down to Stockport. But this particular project is focusing on those 2 localities, Oldham and Tameside and Glossop. And we're trying to encourage, it's a project about trying to encourage older South Asian women in those areas who may be suffering from mental health problems, including dementia, to come forward and seek some advice and to start accessing services, because we recognise there have been problems and barriers around that. So that's the aim. The focus really, the starting point, is to actually try and come at it from their perspective, try and understand what it is they themselves are saying that they're experiencing problems with. Why is it that they don't feel they can access services? What kinds of barriers are they experiencing? So we have to get down to the level of really the grassroots community and talk to individual people themselves. That's what we're seeking to do, and we've started to do that over the last couple of years, and we've been able to do that not least because of which we've been working very closely with. Oh dear. Oh dear. We've been working very closely with colleagues in the health improvement team that straddles the PCT and the local authority. There's a couple of really dedicated, great community development workers who've been connecting and making contacts with local community groups, both in Oldham and in Tameside. In Tameside, the Kush and Dee group. To actually start to get women talking about the issues they face. So we've started to do that very successfully, made some very, very good contacts. We've also started to develop resources in appropriate languages that people can use, and not just written in written form, but also in audio form, because written leaflet information may not be appropriate. So, as I say, that's been pulled together, and they exist, and that's great. And as I say, my colleagues advised me that there are leaflets on dementia specifically available, and not just some of the kind of wider mental health issues like anxiety or depression or sleep problems. So that's been really, really successful, I think. But this has been a particular thing we've been trying to focus on, which is a poster that we're hoping can actually just take off and fly through the communities, in local surgeries, libraries, wherever it might be seen. What's great about this poster is it's not finished yet, because you'll notice that it sort of says translation to go here and things. So it's just the kind of final end project. And I've got Pennine Care Graphics to knock one up. This is what it's going to look like, and it's really fetching, I think. And crucially, it's been designed with input from the women in those community groups themselves. And we're really hoping this can take off. The fact that apparently Polykaiser has been to some conferences and people have been going, oh, that's nice. We'd like to see whether or not that can kind of fly further afield. So we're really excited about that. And what's great about it is, as I say, it's become real involvement from women themselves. So in fact, what we'd like to do, what we're hoping the way forward is going to be, is to pilot this poster in some very quite small number of GP surgeries. Now, we've started to have conversations at a local level with GP practices themselves. And we're actually focusing on Ashton, in fact, but you know, if Amir wanted to bite my hand off, I'm sure I wouldn't push him away. So we've started to have those kinds of conversations at grassroots level with the GP practices and GPs themselves. But we're also kind of going in at a top-down approach, so I've been badgering Paul, our commissioner, yeah, we're trying to have conversation at any level we can, so talking to people on professional executive committee of the PCT, people like Dr. Patel. Yeah, so a top-down, bottom-up approach. And we'd really like to pilot this poster and see if it has an effect. You know, what we do is we put it up and see if actually there was an increase in number of women who came forward to seek advice, and so hopefully we'll get some takers, we'll see. The other thing, of course, is this project will come to an end very soon, in fact, in October. We'll have some product, but it will actually come to an end as such, because the money's run out. So it has to be sustainable. So it's very, very important that this project does successfully engage the local leaders and champions at grassroots community level, but at the PCT level, at Pennine Care level, at commissioner level. It's very important that we engage them, so I'm hoping that we will. And as I say, that's the most important thing, really, that we continue to have a real dialogue and listen to the voices of the service users and their carers themselves. So I'll put it out there. Thanks.